While the task at hand is to raise the living standards of our people, and the biggest tool at our disposal is education. For with education comes empowerment and the ability to participate as equals in economic growth. Hello and welcome to Ministers of Change. I'm Shireen Bhan. This week on the show, we try to understand why industrial growth in Punjab has been stagnant.
Why not even a single penny has been invested in the organic industry, in improving the skills of the worker there.
We talk to experts as they help draw up a new investment plan for Punjab.
Our backbone is the small scale sector, and we are setting up clusters for different kind of industries.
And it may be home to a new IIT and ISC, but what more needs to be done to strengthen the foundation of education in the state?
I don't think the situation in Punjab is any different from many other parts of the country.
In India's agriculture heartland, this is not an uncommon sight. Small groups of men and women looking to augment their monthly earnings from farming. 1,500 to 2,000 rupees may not seem like much, but with farm sizes and income shrinking, it is a valuable contribution. A recent study by the National Sample Survey Organisation found that 40% of Punjab's farmers wish to quit farming if they were provided with an alternative. But the state government's blinkered approach to development, with the overemphasis on subsidising a deteriorating agriculture sector, has put the state in a no-win situation. Agriculture accounts for 30% of output, but has grown only at an average of 3.1% a year for the past 5 years.
Centre should encourage the government to revisit the policy of keeping the secondary and tertiary sectors less developed, because if they will develop the secondary and tertiary sectors, their young people, their employment, the younger lot there will get jobs. And also the dependence of the families on agriculture will get reduced.
Productivity per acreage in Punjab has almost reached a saturation level. So therefore there is a need to immediately put in an infrastructure which helps and facilitates the agro-industry growth, as well as bring in new areas of cropping patterns. And if that were to happen, perhaps that in itself would increase the state domestic, the GSDP of the state tremendously. As of today, Punjab is nearly about 5% of the GDP of the state is there, compared to the national GDP of almost about 8.5%.
Ironic for its state that at its peak clocked a growth rate double that of the national average. To take stock of the situation and understand what's holding back industrial development, we travel to Ludhiana, Punjab's largest city and one of its oldest industrial hubs. Ludhiana is home to some of Punjab's most traditional industries, textiles and hosiery, hand tools and cycles. Ludhiana is Asia's largest hub for bicycle manufacturing and produces more than 50% of India's bicycle consumption. And this plant, set up after independence by the Munjal brothers, has stood witness to the city's many ups and downs.
बिजली की बहुत बड़ी शॉर्टेज, उसे बिजली दे सकती है, बिजली देगी, अच्छा फिर उसके बाद रॉ मटीरियल उससे है, रॉ मटीरियल देगी, इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है, फिर उसके बाद है लेबर, तीसरी चीज़ है लेबर, और लेबर भी जड़ी है लेबर सानू उससे मिलेगी, बजाय एक को जगह पे सारी कंजेक्शन हो जाए, इनू किया जाता है, स्प्रेड किया जाता है, सारी जगह पे इंडस्ट्री मिले, सारी जगह पे कारोबार मिले.
The lost decade of the 1980s and the abolishment of freight equalization impacted industries here as the cost of raw materials increased. The next blow came in 1997 when the Akali BJP combine of the time decided to give free power to farmers.
Currently it is almost about 5,000 megawatts of additional power is needed in the state in the next couple of years. So populist measures are enablers to keep the prices down to keep the productivity high of the agriculture. But yes, to a certain large extent, they do affect the investment climate in the state.
Today, not only is Punjab a power deficient state with electricity demand outstripping supply by 24% at peak usage hours, it also has one of the highest power tariffs in the country. The per unit cost of power stands at 5 rupees 80 paise per unit compared to just 3 rupees 80 paise per unit in neighbouring Himachal Pradesh.
दिक्कत ये है एक तो कोई सरकार वाला फैसिलिटी नहीं हैगी, एक लाइट की बहुत ज़्यादा दिक्कत है, ਜਿਹੜੇ छोटे यूनिट है उन्होंने बहुत मुश्किल होती है। जिदा टैक्सटाइल ਨੂੰ ਸਹੂਲਤਾਂ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ ਉਦੋਂ ਹੋਜਰੀ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਨੀਆਂ ਮਨੂਫੈਕਚਰ ਨੂੰ ਸਹੂਲਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ।
Since we are sitting at a place where we have to carry coal over a long distance, and as you know, coal cost, the major component is freight. It's not the basic coal cost at the pit head. So if we have a higher cost of generation, I mean, we have no option but to pass it on to the consumer. And today pricing is not in our hands. Pricing is today determined by an independent commission. Which takes into account the input cost, and based on that it fixes the tariff that the consumer has to pay.
Realizing that rectifying the power situation is key to attract industry, the state government has in the last few years signed MOUs with private players to set up thermal power stations.
The weight has involved the private sector and the PPP mode. Number of power plants are coming up, and I think in about a year and a half or so they will be fully operational, and the state will be definitely power surplus. It's just a matter of time.
But it hasn't been all smooth sailing. In July this year, hundreds of farmers from Gobindpura village near Mansa openly protested the acquisition of irrigated multi-crop land by the government on behalf of Indiabulls Power for its thermal power plant. Those farmers who were allegedly forced to accept compensation checks have returned them and want their land back.
The difficulty with us has always been shortage of land. Punjab, the land, as you know, is intensively cultivated. There is a lot of resistance to land acquisition. Price is an issue, with unwillingness of the people is also an issue. Still, by a process of giving a very fair market, a fair price, today the rest of the country is talking of giving a fair compensation to the farmer. This is something Punjab started much earlier. It's simply a question of price. If we are paying a good price, the farmer is happy. And for price determination, we have a committee which involves the elected representatives of the people, and they, through their local knowledge, they give their inputs as to what would be a fair price in that area. The other major initiative is land pooling.
Land pooling, a scheme in which the landowner is offered developed residential and commercial plots over and above monetary compensation, seems to have worked in some areas like Ropar, Kapurthala and Bathinda. But a lot more needs to be done. The cost of acquiring land in Punjab is amongst the highest in the country, and it's no surprise then that over the last few years, even some of Punjab's most established business houses have actually opted to move out of the state.
For instance, Punjab's textile giants Vardhaman and Trident are setting up new plants in Madhya Pradesh, where both land and power are available at a fraction of the cost in Punjab. Easy access to ports, raw material and markets has been a contributing factor as well. Similarly, Ludhiana's signature cycle industry is seeking opportunities in Bihar, with Hero Cycles already setting up a plant there. And the pharma industry has moved almost en masse to Himachal Pradesh, where tax concessions by the centre and tight governance by the state has significantly lowered the cost of doing business. This migration and the loss of over 4,000 crore rupees in fresh investments in the last couple of years has forced the administration to put its house in order.
Textile parks which are coming up in the private sector, 4 of them in the state, under the government revere schemes where they get a lot of assistance. But the state of its own has also come out with a policy where somebody invests around 250 crores of rupees, and we have identified the land also which is not very suitable to agriculture, but can be made use for the industry, especially in the cotton belt. And then from cotton to fabric, that is the policy.
Capital flows where profit is. And if there is a less profit, the capital will not flow there, because people don't do business to do social service. So you don't invite, somebody, we come here and please do some social work, service, even if you earn less profit as compared to other states, still you invest here. Nobody will invest unless you can earn profit. So basically, as I said earlier, that if you have a policy of industrialization of the state, then the organic industry which used to exist earlier in Punjab, you look at the data for the last, let's say mid-60s, why not even a single penny has been invested in the organic industry?
Now what has happened is that IT and communications revolution, which changed the face of many other states, particularly in the south and the west, Punjab escaped that because there was no development of that, not much thought was given to it, and they missed some years, and the development has gone to the southern states or the western states, and it is not in a position to create jobs, and which unemployment has grown.
The government is in talks now with IT giants like Infosys, TCS and Wipro, and the government is even looking at tailoring a policy to facilitate setting up of anchor units in the state. But an IT industry or any knowledge-based industry will thrive only if it has ready and willing manforce. Coming up on the Ministers of Change, we try and understand how Punjab can rise to the human resource challenge.